crushed by the waves. Everybody getting rushed to their graves. Everybody got enough to be saved, but they don't make heroes no more.
Welcome to 3-Count Commentaries. I am here. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw from September the 30th, 2024. So, this episode of Monday Night Raw was actually, it ended pretty good. The ending was great. And that's where we're going to start. But, there's actually starting to pick up some steam, I must say. They're actually starting to pick up a little bit of steam. Mixing things up. They're still using the same people that they've been using, which is, I guess, not good for people on the outside. But first, let's talk about Ilya Dragunov. Apparently, Ilya Dragunov tore his ACL. He will be out 6 to 9 months. That's a really long time. It has been not a very good year for your boy Ilya Dragunov. He was NXT champion for a while. It seemed nice. And then he got drafted to Monday Night Raw, which was the worst possible thing that could have happened to him. Because he was immediately not lost in the shuffle. He was blended into the shuffle. He became the shuffle. He became a human shuffle where either he was losing or he just wasn't on TV at all. Apparently, he was working main events with Gunther. There was one report that they even got a standing ovation after one of their matches. And then they announced, well, he tore his ACL. He's gone. So no Royal Rumble for Ilya Dragunov. Likely no WrestleMania. Or if he does make it to WrestleMania, he'll be sliding in by the skin of his teeth. Now, because he is basically another one of these genetic freaks, I could see him maybe getting back in the ring 5 months, maybe. But a torn ACL is pretty bad. You don't want to rush that. And they didn't have anything for him anyway. He was just working house shows. So it's unfortunate that he had to go through this. And it would actually be a legitimate loss to the roster if he was actually being used. But since he wasn't, it wasn't that big a deal to the roster, and it's unfortunate. Another thing that's unfortunate, WWE Hall of Famer Pete Rose. He passed away today. He was 83 years old. This would be where you would talk about, the Pete Rose. Man, don't you remember WrestleMania 14? But I was like, nope, because I saw something online that I then turned around and looked up. Something that said that Pete Rose had sex with an underage girl. Now, I'm not one to define people by the worst thing that they've actually done. And plus, I thought it was just a rumor. So I looked it up and I said, no. Pete Rose, he's going into the same camp with Karl Malone and Lawrence Taylor. I absolutely do not care. Pete Rose admitted that he had sex with an underage girl when he was in his 30s. This would have been in 1970 something. He admitted to doing it. The girl said she was 14 at the time. Pete Rose says she was 16. And it was legal to do because 16 was the age of consent in Ohio. Bro, mind blown. Not going to rest in peace, Pete Rose. Can't do it. So, it's unfortunate, but gotta have some standards around here. I'm just shocked by the many WWE Hall of Famers that are sex pests and criminals. There's just a ton of them. It's a whole lot. One day, you're going to do like a rap sheet of all the WWE Hall of Famers that have either abused women, been accused of sex crimes, or, murder? There's even one potential murderer on the thing. It's not the best Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Good Guys, that's for sure. Not the Hall of Saints. It's not a cathedral. That's for damn sure, that WWE Hall of Fame. But hey, it's unfortunate. All right, let's move on. We're going to start with the main event because it was the best part of the show. Last man standing, Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman. A lot of Brons running around here, man. Just way too many Brons. I wish Vince was around because he would make these guys change their name. So Bronson Reed would probably be like the Mastodon or something. He probably wouldn't even be there, but his name wouldn't be Braun because there's like 2 other Brons on the same show. We didn't even split the Brons up. All the Brons on the same show. God, Triple H, are you serious? Anyway, they did some really cool shit. This match was very cool. They Death Valley driver off the crates through the table. Good spot. Braun Strowman jumped off the top rope. Oh my God. It was like getting hit in the chest with a keg. It had to be. This dude is huge. And he took out all of the security guys. Tumbled over. A really good spot. Earlier in the night, Bronson Reed bragged about injuring Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins was apparently at a football game. And that was the gimmick, is that Seth Rollins was somewhere on Monday Night Football because he'd been doing football gimmicks. He had a football gimmick, like a week or so ago when he got thrown onto the field by the Chicago Bears. And then this week he was supposed to be on Monday Night Football making some kind of an appearance to rile the crowd up, and apparently they didn't care about him at all. No pop. And then here he is at the end of Raw. So Seth Rollins interferes in the match after they do the ring collapse spot. But just like Triple H, he half-assed it. It was a half-mast ring collapse. It wasn't even a full ring collapse. Go watch all the other ring collapses, like when Big Show did it. And the ring would crater. This one, it just kind of went dook, and the ropes fell off. And everybody was like, yeah! I was like, wait. Okay, this is cool. But it ain't the full ring collapse. Like, the whole thing just lay on the floor. You know, that's not what this was. This wasn't this was pushing rope. This one just blew the ropes off. It wasn't good. It wasn't good enough. Not enough for me. It was still exciting because I was expecting it, but could have been better. So both men are down. The referee's doing the counting, and then that's when Seth Rollins made himself appear. He stomped Bronson Reed on the stairs, so Bronson Reed couldn't get up. So Braun Strowman wins the match. Okay, this was fun. This was good old-fashioned fun. It was just what the show needed. It was exciting. The both guys were over. They did crazy stuff to each other. There was some high-risk stuff that was done. You know, it was fun. So, can't complain. Great main event. Did it make me a fan of Thick Boy? No. Didn't do that. But I have an appreciation for him now that I did not have before. Okay. Jey Uso had a celebration to start the show. His son was there. We got You Deserve It chants. They put the blue stuff on his belt, so at least it has some color. It matches his tights and everything. It was great. Jey Uso had basically a little celebration. Talked about how he's going to fight with the title every week except this week. Then he said his family made it hard for him, but, you know, he finally got there. He said it's been his whole career. He's been just a twin. They ain't know me, but they know me now. Said his mom is his biggest fan. His mom told him to go out there and get it. So now he got it. Brian Breaker came out there. They called him the badass. Now you a badass when you lose every other match you win. Anyway, he said he had respect for Jay, respect for the title. Said he wasn't going to attack him. He just wanted to shake his hand and offer congratulations. And that's what they did. So Brian Breaker shook his hand and left. And then he confronted Gunther later. And I'm like, you lost the last match you were in. What is this nonsense here? So now we got to feed him to Gunther. After feeding him to Jey Uso, now we're going to feed him to Gunther. Oh, he's moving up the roster. He's moving along. For starters, why is he a babyface? Why is he a babyface now? Well, clearly he's a babyface because Ilya Dragunov got hurt. So that's what spot he's taking. He's taking Ilya's spot. Ilya was going to do the job to Gunther. So now Brian Breaker's got to do it. You got to be kidding me. Look, I'm all for moving Brian Breaker up the card, but you had something with him as a strong heel. And now you have not only taken that thing's virginity, but now you're going to double down on it. This is not good. You use somebody else for this gimmick. But whatever, man. Can't talk Triple H into anything. He knows everything. I don't like this idea of Brian Breaker being a baby face. I don't like this idea of him being against Gunther without a substantial winning streak. You know, he just doesn't have enough momentum. He shook the guy's hand, guy beat him. Like, he's serious. It's stupid. Real ridiculous. Xavier Woods defeats Rey Mysterio. pulled off Ray's mask. It was, of course, accidental, but Xavier Woods was very excited that he won the match. He went and met Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston questioned him about this. Kofi says, well, did you do that on purpose? And Xavier Woods was like, I was expecting some celebration, actually, instead of an accusation. But, of course, he respects Ray didn't do it on purpose. So Kofi Kingston says, well, Jey Uso offered me an Intercontinental Championship match. And Xavier Woods was like, wow, that was random. And then Kofi was like, but I decided to give it to you. And Xavier Woods was very excited about that. So he's going to wrestle Jey Uso for the Intercontinental Championship next week. Kofi Kingston, of course, will end up wrestling and losing to Chad Gable tonight because of Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods pulled the leg of Chad Gable while Kofi was going for the Trouble in Paradise. That actually distracted Chad Gable enough that Trouble in Paradise missed and they went into the Chaos Theory. Kofi Kingston's a really good worker. I'm a big fan of Kofi. I just hate that he's been stuck in this same gimmick for 10 years. It's ridiculous. It's nonsense. Chad Gable, man, his upward momentum just went nowhere, did it? He went from being one of the most over baby faces on the roster, and they put their boot right on his forehead and said, you're not allowed to go up. And since then, it's just been nothing. Okay, he beat Kofi, so what? So what? He should have been the Intercontinental Champion right now. He should have been the one to beat Gunther. But instead, he's the guy losing to the Wyatts, and he's the guy wrestling in the middle of the card for nothing. Very unfortunate times for Chad Gable and the rest of American Made. But I guess he's there on TV. Liv Morgan and Judgment Day, they were disappointed that Finn Balor wasn't there for their 6-man tag match. But they figured they would make do. So Judgment Day versus the LWO, that would be Dragon Lee, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro. They actually won the match because Finn Balor, he did show up, actually. So Finn Balor really was there. They lied to us because they're no good lying backstabbers. And JD McDonough actually got the pin. Afterwards, Finn Balor cut the promo saying that they didn't need Damian Priest or Rhea Ripley, and he's going to prove it at Bad Blood. Bad Blood. Blood. I'm trying to find out the Irish way to say it, but I can't say it. Then Liv Morgan went all Ric Flair. Her voice is so annoying. Her voice is super annoying. She says she's the home-wrecking, man-stealing, title-taking, greatest women's champion of all time. And I was like, oh, that was a lot of words. She got some heat, so that at least it worked. Liv Morgan is not well, we'll talk about it in a second. So Rhea Ripley came out there, told everybody that Dominic was claustrophobic, and he's going to piss himself while watching Liv Morgan lose. They're making Dominic Mysterio toilet paper, which has got to be some of the most creative marketing I've seen in a long time. Since the what was that WrestleMania shirt where they said, when they bought the WrestleMania shirt and it says nobody was there, or population, what is that, attendance 0 or something like that. They've been doing all these little cute gimmicks since Nick Khan came along that were, to take a little bit of a shot at the company sometimes. And now they didn't turn Dominic Mysterio into toilet paper. This is fantastic. It's a great gimmick, the Dominic Mysterio toilet paper. It works. So anyway, you know how this breaks down. The Terror Twins try to start the fight. This allows Rhea Ripley to beat up men again. She beat up Dominic a lot. I think she even punched and threw around JD McDonough. Damian Priest fought, and then they both got jumped and beat up. So that's pretty much it. They gave a bunch of coup de grace to Damian Priest and Liv Morgan. Still the same situation. This is 5 or 6 months in, and Liv is just not a physical threat for Rhea. She has to continuously jump her from behind, but still not using weapons. That's a sensible item. Like when she fled and went backstage, which is how they ended up separating in the first place, is Dominic was getting beat up, got thrown into the shark cage, and then Liv took off running. So when she took off running, she should have came back with something. You know, a kendo stick. I mean, even though kendo sticks are weak, it at least would have made some sense that you were hitting Rhea with some kind of object to keep her down. But they won't give Liv a weapon, nor will they give her a heater. I'm guessing they're going to have to do that. They're going to have to give her one or the other. I prefer a heater, but a weapon would be fine too. I don't know what they're doing or why they continue to do it this way, but nobody's going to believe that Liv Morgan with her own two hands is going to be able to beat up Rhea Ripley. No matter how distracting Rhea Ripley is and how much she prances around. And she's very excitable at house shows. They're getting rid of house shows, and Liv Morgan expressed her disappointment at that. But when you see house show footage of Rhea Ripley, she's having a blast at house shows. She doesn't wear makeup, so she's out there just having fun. She doesn't have crush face at the time. She also doesn't work on TV. Somebody noticed that the last time Rhea Ripley wrestled on TV was actually in January. And of course, you have to take into account she was injured for some of that time. But she apparently has worked more house shows than she's worked on television. And it seems like they're creating that sort of dichotomy where certain guys only wrestle on TV and certain guys only wrestle on pay-per-view. And you're looking, of course, Roman Reigns doesn't wrestle on TV. And Cody, he occasionally wrestles on TV. Occasionally. But Gunther, almost never on pay-per-view. Unless, he's wrestled, I think, twice on pay-per-view this entire year. And he's had a title for most of the year. So that's a weird thing that they're starting to do where, guys are mostly going to be either a pay-per-view guy or a TV guy. And I'm okay with that because when you're in a feud like Rhea Ripley, do you really need to be wrestling nonsense matches against Zelina Vega or whatever and run the risk of her tearing her elbow out of place or something like that? No, not really. But then also she probably shouldn't be wrestling at house shows either if that's going to be the case, even though she was wrestling Scarlett. I think it was a mixed tag match with her and Damian Priest versus Scarlett and Karrion Kross. But I actually like that idea. Hopefully that's the direction they go into after they get done with this Judgment Day thing. So, because Scarlett has been wanting to wrestle and she's a trained wrestler, but WWE has not fully utilized Scarlett as a wrestler. They are not fully utilizing Karrion Kross, but he can't get over to save his life. He couldn't get over out of a playpen at this point. The boy's down bad. That's what I'm saying. He's down bad at all times. Lyra Valkyria loses to Kermit the Frog, Zoe Stark, because the League of Extraordinary Lesbians decided to cheat. Mr. Baszler had a stack of cards that she kept flicking behind Lyra Valkyria during the promo segment as they told her that she was by herself because Zelina and Natalya were both gone. So after they cheated and beat up Lyra Valkyria, then Casey Squared came out there to help. But of course they were too late. And then one of them was wearing a faceplate. And I thought it was Tatum Paxley. I was like, oh, Tatum Paxley's getting called up. That's something. It turns out that it was just one of the little chicks. What was her name? Katana Chance. So Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Kaden Carter been around for a while. Boy, she's been around for quite a while. She was in NXT for 4 years, maybe. And this is like her third year on the main roster. She's been around a minute. She's been around for a couple of minutes, dog. Anyway, they promised that they were going to stop being nice. And then they got interrupted by the heavily accented Unholy Union, which means that Isla Dawn was trying to talk with her lisp and accent, which basically just means that you're cutting the line. Like, didn't you guys just lose the tag team titles after, having them for a short amount of time? Look, I don't care. But I guess they're just trying to do something different. Because Casey Squared are back. Okie dokie. League of Extraordinary Lesbians going nowhere fast. What a bad gimmick this is. It's not working. I like Sonya Deville, but Mr. Baszler and Kermit the Frog they both need to fuck right on off. I'm telling you, Shayna Baszler is useless. She's useless. Okay. So then we had a in-ring segment between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. They decided to talk tough to each other. Drew McIntyre, he said that out of respect for AJ Lee, who's going to have to feed and bathe CM Punk, she might even leave him. That's why he's there. He's not there because he respects CM Punk. Says that he's going to be gone forever after he's the Hell in the Cell match. And they hate each other. But it was CM Punk who taught Drew McIntyre how to hate. You introduced hate into my life, and I don't appreciate it. Then he says that all the hate that CM Punk has impressed upon him will be gone once he finishes the job and gets rid of CM Punk for good. Got to get that hate out. Gotta let it out. You got hate in your heart, let it out. CM Punk said he had nothing to say. The Drew McIntyre then continued talking by saying that he was once called the voice of the voiceless, but now he has no voice. Because he has nothing to say to that son of a bitch. To say he's been living in a hotel for 4 weeks because he don't want to subject his wife to the man he has become. Says that you're going to make me the man that my harshest critics say that I am. Then he talked about beating him until he starts to bleed and said that, remember, you prayed for this and it happened. Then said it won't be God and it won't be the devil. You'll be praying to CM Punk. And I was like, okay. I love this segment. I thought this segment was very effective. All the security guys were there, the big cage and everything. They didn't need to interact physically. So it worked out great. This was fantastic. Both guys are top notch on the microphone. Phil, I'm going to talk to you for a second. Come on, pull over a chair. Hey, Phil, if you're going to dye the hair, go ahead and dye the beard too. You know, I don't see the point in only dyeing the hair. If you're going to dye the hair, go ahead and dye the beard too. That's what Drew does. Drew dyes the hair and the beard. So, Philip, dye the hair and the beard, bro. You could probably knock a good 6 years off that face if you go ahead and dye that beard. Great segment, by the way. Okay, so Sheamus, he challenges the loser weight. The loser weight. He challenged him to a Donnybrook match. I don't like the term Donnybrook match. I just like if they call it a Donnybrook. That just sounds more appealing to me. It fits my sensibilities better. So the Miz is tied up with R-Truth again, and they decided to have a tag team match. The Miz is very bad at doing the R-Truth entrance, and he's been doing it for a long time. I don't understand how he's still so bad at it. They ended up with a match against AOP, with what R-Truth calls AOP. I don't see why they in the match with AOP, but I forgot. They in a match with AOP because R-Truth thinks that Karrion Kross is picking on him, so he wants to fight AOP. Okay, so they decided to have this match. R-Truth worked most of the match, and then he tagged the Miz in. That's an important point. We should underline that. So Miz comes in for the hot tag and immediately kicks R-Truth in the head, and then leaves and rips up the Awesome Truth shirt. AOP then do moves to R-Truth and pins him, but R-Truth is not the legal man. The Miz is the legal man, and the Miz has walked off. Referee not paying attention. Nobody's paying attention. They just pin R-Truth and end the segment. Okay, whatever. Karrion Kross is ecstatic. I don't know why. It's not like, is the Miz going to join the stable, or what are we doing here? Why does Karrion Kross care about the Miz? Why did he stop caring about Xavier Woods? He doesn't care about Xavier Woods anymore. What is going on? What is Karrion Kross's character? What is his motivations? Why is he doing this? Can somebody explain that to me? I know his character is based very heavily on Sean O'Hare, whom he was, I guess, a friend of and was a fan of. But I don't understand why he wants Xavier Woods or The Miz to turn heel. Why he wants any of these guys involved with him and his group. I don't get it. Him and his group are barely over. They don't do anything. Why? I don't get it. Apparently, and I'm thinking it might be the case, that Karrion Kross is the next target of the Wyatts. It seems to be what's going on here. On second thought, man, I can't confirm that. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to that Wyatt stuff, and I really ain't been paying attention to Karrion Kross either. I'm trying to remain a Karrion Kross fan, and hopefully this will happen, and he'll be on TV and be able to do stuff and maybe even get over. Otherwise, him just hanging out with The Miz, who turns heel for the 900th time, who never should have been a babyface in the first place. Him hanging out with Xavier Woods. Look, Xavier Woods might be fine and all, but his hair is dry on his render, so I already know ain't shit up when it comes to Xavier Woods. Ain't nothing up. And, oh, speaking of which, I forgot about this. Big E's supposed to be doing some kind of checkup in a couple of months to see if he can get back in the ring. I think Big E is done, personally. I don't think Big E wants to wrestle anymore. I don't think he needs to. I don't think Triple H will see Big E as a main event guy, which is what he was when he went down. So I'm just not seeing that that's going to happen for him. But I would be okay with him being able to end his career on his terms. You know, that would be fine, but whatever. I'm also fine if he never wrestles again. I mean, it's just kind of how it is. All right, let's get into the meat of this thing now. Gunther and Sami Zayn. So Gunther loves being world champion. He's very happy about being world champion. He loves everything about it, actually. Sami Zayn says that he wants to know why he can't have a world heavyweight championship match. And Gunther said, because you're not on my level. Sami Zayn said, you say that, I already beat you. It already happened. So you're just scared it's going to happen again. Gunther says, yes, I am afraid. I'm afraid for my reputation. Because I could lose to a better man, but losing to you was the most embarrassing moment of my career. He starts talking about how his family was there at WrestleMania. He just didn't parade them in front of the cameras like Sami did. And his father said, I flew all the way from Vienna to Philadelphia to see you lose to that bum who dresses like he gets his clothes from Salvation Army. I'm with Gunther's dad. Gunther's dad has a good point. You lost to a bum, son. What are you doing? Are you a bum? Are you worse than a bum? This wino has defeated you at WrestleMania. What's up? So then he says that his family does not accept failure, Gunther. That he's the golden goose of his family. His family expects greatness out of him, unlike Sami Zayn's family, because nobody cares about Sami Zayn. They all expect him to lose anyway. And Sami Zayn says, sure, my family has watched me lose. He's always watched me pick myself up too. Says when it came down to it, you crumbled. You hid. You didn't show your face around here for months. You didn't even ask for a rematch. He says, now, what are you showing your dad now? You're showing your dad that you're a coward. That means Gunther's going to beat him up, so he does. Ends up powerbombing him. And then gave him a championship match. Said, you want a championship match? You got it. Turns out this match is going to be next week on Monday Night Raw. Gunther versus Sami Zayn World Heavyweight Championship match. So this is the last 3-hour Monday Night Raw for 2024. Who knows what's going to happen in 2025. But they already got 3 main event level, I guess you could say, matches next week. Jey Uso and Xavier Woods. And the World Heavyweight Championship match, Gunther versus Sami Zayn. And then there's a third one that I forgot. And it don't matter. Oh yeah, the Donnybrook. Sheamus versus Pete Dunne. So they got the card kind of stacked next week. If you care about any of these feuds, Zayn versus Gunther ought to be good TV. That ought to be good TV. And maybe Jey Uso and Xavier Woods will be good TV as well. I'm actually more interested in what's going to happen if when Xavier loses. I'm actually becoming okay and somewhat interested in New Day going in their separate ways without turning heel. It might just be Xavier that turns heel. Or maybe, they do a thing where Xavier turns and he tries to get Kofi to turn and Kofi won't turn or whatever. That could be interesting depending on what they do. Seth Rollins is back, so that helps the product. No matter how he decides to dress, him not being on the show has been a big, big problem. So now you have a familiar face has returned. That's helpful. He's going to continue his feud with Bronson Reed. Okie dokie. I don't know what you do with Braun Strowman now. He's beaten Bronson Reed. You would think he would be the top contender for the world title at this point. That he would be wrestling Gunther for the world title. Because who else could he wrestle? But there's that. And the rest of the card is pretty much nonsense. I don't know what on earth they're going to do with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan after they end this feud, if they ever decide to end it. I don't think this feud ends at Bad Blood. I think Liv wins and the feud continues. So, that's just the only prediction I'll give away. I'll do the rest of the predictions some other day. But I think that Liv wins, and this thing just has to continue on. But I don't know in what form. So, most of Raw is a blur of mid-carders doing mid-card stuff, and nobody's really progressing. There's very little in the way of fun segments. Again, most of the fun segments have been stuff that's happening physically. The rotation schedule of, the Wyatts are there, then they're gone. They still doing the QR codes, but the stuff's also a puzzle. So we're trying to figure out who they're going to target next. And it's like, do we really care who they targeting next? I kind of don't. Seth Rollins shows up. He wearing men's clothes for the first time in a long time. He wearing like a tracksuit. I was like, oh my word, he wearing men's clothes. He must be serious. It's serious business. Serious business. He wearing men's clothes. But the women's division has probably taken the biggest hit because the tag team championships are not there, but they have at least 3 tag teams that want to be contenders. Because if I remember correctly, Damage Control also want the title. So they weren't featured at all, to my knowledge. Io and Kyrie didn't appear at all on this show. So you're in the mid card of the women's division is absolutely dreadful. That League of Extraordinary Lesbians thing is a fucking bust. It's worse than Damage Control. At least Damage Control had Io and Asuka in it, and they were fun. But this thing ain't got nobody. I mean, it's Sonya Deville, and that's it. And she's not that great at wrestling, even though she has a good personality. Zoe Stark, man, whew. She got the charisma of a prison cell. And Shayna Baszler, oh my God. She's Earl. She's, matches Malone, basicly. This is ridiculous, bro. It's absolutely ridiculous. The women's division is in trouble. That joint is chin deep in water. Paddling hard. That women's division sucks ass. It's not good on SmackDown either, but it's really not good on Raw. It's a whole lot of not good. Becky Lynch leaving was probably one of the worst things that could have happened to Raw. Because you would think they would just replace her with somebody else and started pushing them, but no. They were already pushing Liv, and they just kept pushing Liv. And they were already pushing Rhea, and they just kept pushing Rhea. They didn't replace them with any. They didn't replace nobody with anybody. So it was they brought Kiana James. I guess she got injured. None of the other girls are even worth using, I guess. Zelina Vega could probably fill a spot and be a really good top-level babyface, or at least a top-level heel, but they won't give her a shot. The other people are Natalya level, and nobody wants to watch Natalya or Natalya-adjacent acts. Not on television. And not in the year of our Lord 2024, we do not. Stay your ass at the Hart house, or whoever's house. The Wilson house, or whatever the fuck. All right, Monday Night Raw, not too bad, but it's not improving. I don't see the numbers improving until they actually start making stars. That means Triple H has to actually start booking people like stars. Not beating them every other week, or them not wrestling or having decent segments on television. They also need to do a little bit more in the way of having these stories develop, because sometimes these stories are getting very repetitive, like the Terror Twins and the Judgment Day. How many times are they going to attack these guys from behind only to get beat up? And It's been the same way. Judgment Day stands tall at the end. The LWO, just a random batch of Hispanics, get beat up every week. Nothing changes. Now is the time, especially as, again, like I said previously, when it comes to SmackDown too, things are getting a little rough around the ratings. Monday Night Football is kicking your shit in every week. We're in a transition period between, USA and Netflix. Now is the time to take some chances. Let's try pushing somebody else who, see if they can get over. Now is the time to really try some new things. But that requires you to break free from old faithful. And Triple H hasn't proved that he's willing to do that. All right, like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.